Casey has been sad for the past 3 days, and there is nothing that TT can do to cheer him up. And Casey is taking accountability, so what y'all say now? Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, anything I say is alleged and in my very, very personal opinion. This is for entertainment purposes only. None of this is personal. The Copyright Act of 1976 is in the description box. Some meat and potatoes, some housekeeping items. So, today we are talking Love Island USA Season 8. Episode 26, you guys. And I have questions, production. I have questions. First of all, before we even get into the rest of the movie night of it all, you know what I'm saying? Where was the RICO case on Zack Attack? Where was the receipts of Zack Attack's comments about Trinity? Where was Zack Attack plotting on the other couples? You know what I'm saying? Like, are we just leaving it all on the cutting room floor? Is Zack Attack a producer plant? Can somebody let me know? Because where was his second clip? Where was the rest of the receipts? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like people don't know how much instigating specifically him and Bryce do up in this villa. Like, what are we doing? I feel like we missed something, production. Did I miss an episode? Why was the episode only an hour? Where was the rest of the clips? Where did they go? So, anyways, we pick up, you guys, and with movie night, and guess whose video is next? Corbin, welcome. You're on Candid Camera. You are on the Jumbotron. You are on the big screen for movie night. So we have the Corbin and Casey conversation, and Casey starts to cringe because he's like, wait a minute. wait a second. He's talking about how he's more attracted to TT physically than Anaya. And Corbin is talking about how, you know what I'm saying, that it was TT that pursued Casey. But here's the thing, that is the point of Casa Amor. These girls have to press on you at Casa Amor to basically, they've had to sit in the Fiji hotel for 3 weeks to see everything that you know, is wrong in these relationships. And then they can come in and swoop in and be all of the things that they're not getting out of the relationship. So it was easy for all of the girls to be on Casey at Casa because they knew he was not having the sex with Anaya. And they knew towards the end, him and Anaya kept getting into it. They were not seeing eye to eye and all that. So that was easy for the girls to basically lead with, you know what I'm saying, the physicality and everything else, all of the affection, all of the intimacy in the bed, all of the stuff that Casey wanted, right? Then the comment comes in there from the clip that Anaya really didn't pick you. And Casey is talking about, you know, how he's getting kisses all the time. He doesn't have to beg for no kisses and all of this and all of that. And so ultimately, Anaya is like, here we go again. Anaya is like, here we go again. What the F? You know what I'm saying? And then ultimately the clip about the OG girls, the Villa girls, are high school, and how the girls at Casa Amor are in college. And Anaya was like, listen, I am over Casey and Corbin and their nonsense and their foolishness. And I think that she say that, you know, that they're in college, but you're in pre-K or something. She said something. I was like, oh my gosh. But she's just over it, right? And then there was the clip about the girls talking SHIT about Kenzie, which I believe was Parita and Sydney. Here go Tay-Tay. Tay-Tay's like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was Sydney and a Persian cat talking cash SHIT. But I peeped production. You clipped out the part where Tay-Tay said that she was confident about her connection with Casey, that they were going to go the distance. And I felt like you low-key left some other Casey clips on the cutting room floor, you know what I'm saying? Like to low-key protect him. But ultimately, I see you, production. I see you. So then as well, you know what I'm saying? The girls were like, really, Corbin, with the college comment, like, aren't you 22 years old? Like you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about, right? So then Corbin was like, listen, sorry, Kenzie, if I disrespected you. We both said SHIT, we haven't been perfect, all this and all that. And Kato was like, HELL, no, we didn't. HELL, no, we didn't. We weren't sitting there, bashing you guys, but we were right to say that our men at Casa Amor were way more mature than you guys. And so here goes the men. Oh, that's like the same thing. So Anaya's like, listen, I'm just so disrespected at this point. I don't even want to watch any more of this nonsense, any more of this foolishness. I don't want to have any more chats with anybody. Like, I'm just over this. I am just done, right? So then next, you guys, is Kenzie. Kenzie, you are on the Jumbotron with all of your mess, with all of your back and forth with the Caleb and the Corbin of it all. And everything else playing in everybody's faces. And so it was interesting to me, the difference how these men approached Kenzie and Melanie, which we'll get to in a minute, versus the way they approached Anaya. Now, you can make the argument for, I guess in the case of Casey, that other men were around, like Sincere, like the other guys that were aware of some of the comments Casey was making and tried to double back and pull back to protect themselves and defend themselves. However, you know what I'm saying? Sincere has got 2 RICO cases. You know what I'm saying? Kenzie's full on the Jumbotron, and everybody's just shook. Like, even the girls are like, Anaya's like, Kenzie, this is terrible. Kenzie, this is not a good look. And it's just showing how Kenzie is moving, you know what I'm saying, sneaking kisses with Corbin, all this and all of that. Corbin's smirking. Corbin is smirking at all of this. And then a few of the guys are laughing at a few times. And ultimately, Zach was, watching the clip, and he realized, he was like, no wonder Caleb thought that he was going to get picked by Kenzie, at the mailbox recoupling, right? And so then all of the girls felt bad for Caleb and everything else. And so Kato was like, listen, Kenzie already knows that she effed up. And she was kind of like whispering that to the girls amongst like mainly Trinity and everything. And then Zach tells Caleb, you were valid with everything. But see, this is the thing. It's like the men were like kind of commiserating against themselves. But when it came to Anaya, y'all was cussing her out. And this is what I'm saying. Like, do y'all just not like black women? Is that what this is? Like, what are we doing? But y'all gave Kenzie all this grace. Y'all gave Melanie all this grace. Like I'm confused. I'm confused because I remember you, Caleb, saying in the dressing room with the men, well, if the girls want to argue, we should argue back. But y'all only argued back when it came to Anaya. Because y'all wanted to defend and coddle KC. I see what the play is here. Child. Anyways, Kenzie did say that she did like Corbin a lot. Caleb was her type, and she was just trying to put her best foot forward. Basically, Caleb is like, listen, look at here. Nobody told him SHIT. He was not informed about anything. He was blindsided. He, said that, like, like, what are we doing? He doesn't want to call it a waste of time, but it was a waste of time. Kenzie likes the screen time. So then ultimately the men are whispering Kenzie's a hypocrite. But again, none of y'all stood up. None of y'all shouted that over to Kenzie, that Kenzie's a hypocrite. All y'all whispering, Kenzie's a hypocrite. Kenzie's a hypocrite. But if it was Anaya, you know what I'm saying? Like this is why I have no respect for these men, man. I have zero respect. But then Anaya is telling Kenzie, she's like, let's look at here. You should have been more clear with these dudes, right? And it was funny because then when Kenzie's trying to defend herself after the video, it was if she was repeating what Anaya was telling her to say out loud to the men. I was like, what is going on? I was like, do you not have your own thoughts? And I feel like low-key Kenzie don't care. I feel like Kenzie don't care. I feel like she does not like any of these people and is just here for the vacation. So Kenzie claims she wasn't trying to hurt anybody, and she tells the whole villa that a kiss is like a handshake, which I think is the goofiest thing that you could say in describing a handshake, right? She said that she likes to see if there's chemistry and all of this and all of that, and that she feels good about Dylan. Dylan basically says, rewatching this clip, it feels like what he just went through in the villa for the past couple of days with her secretly going to kiss Gal and all of this and all of that, right? So then we get to Sincere's second RICO case, which was the Casa Amor files, which was the Casa Amor footage. And basically, I thought, you know what, production should have put in there Sincere teaching Amora sign language, as he was just doing sign language with Melanie the other day. But nonetheless, also, he was telling Amora how things were effortless with her. You know, the same things that Casey was telling TT at the fire pit at Casa, that, you know, compared to Anaya, that he has to put in all this work with Anaya, he has to put in all this effort with Anaya, but with TT, it's effortless. Sincere is telling Amora that it's effortless, right? So then they show Sincere and Amora kissing all over this villa, except for they were being production held back on the bed scenes. Like, I feel like y'all held back a little bit on the bed scenes with a lot of these men. And I see you, production. I see you, right? So then as well, you know, Corbin is shaking his head. Melanie grabs Anaya's hand during the montage of Sincere and Amora kissing and everything else. And then Kenzie starts rubbing on Melanie and everything else. And then the clip plays of Sincere telling Amora at the Casa recoupling, if I had more time, it would have been you. If I had more days in here, I would have chose you. And that set Melanie off. And here goes Amora laughing. And this is what I don't understand about these Casa girls. Yeah, y'all did what y'all did to get into this villa, but don't think SHIT is going to be smooth sailing for y'all. Don't assume that what these OG men did to these OG girls at Casa, that the same can't be done to you, especially on the outside, once they realize these women are checking for them and will do anything for the clout and the attention and the desperation to be seen with any of these villa dudes. Because we saw that play out at the end of each of these seasons when all y'all be doing these club appearances. That y'all trying to get shows, y'all trying to capitalize off y'all newfound popularity off of being on Love Island. So don't be sitting up there laughing at another woman's pain when it just can easily be you. Because all those girls have to do is the same thing y'all did at Casa, which is to do the things and be all up on these men and give them that energy, and they're going to fold. Like Sincere did, like Casey did, and Corbin. So then Amora is like, rejection is protection. Listen, Amora. You know what I'm saying? Like, ultimately, you could have really pressed on Caleb if you wanted to in Casa Amor. You were feeling Sincere as well. You were feeling Sincere as well when it was all said and done. And then she's trying to act like, oh, if it was me, I wouldn't have stuck around as long as Melanie has. You don't know that. You don't know that, because if it was an opportunity for you to still be on this show, I bet you wouldn't be saying all of that, because you felt a way that you were not chosen by Sincere. And you said on After Sun that pretty much you thought you were good to go up until you realized that Casey ignored you all day, and Casey and Sincere are close, so you figured that it was over. And when Casey was giving his recoupling speech and said that his pick feels like home and looked over at Sincere, you know what I'm saying? You got that confirmation a second time. You were not getting picked. Well, let's just call a thing a thing. You just wanted to get into this villa and cause havoc, but it's giving nothing, Burger, because where are your chats at with Caleb? Where is your chats at with other people? So then as well, you know, Bryce is trying to defend the decision of it all. And that, you know, the only reason that he chooses Melanie is because he can see the two of them together on the outside. And I thought for sure, like Trinity was going to come in and whack Bryce. Anybody was going to come in and whack Bryce. And Melanie was like, no. Melanie was like, no, Sincere keeps choosing me because I am a fool. I am an idiot. I keep accepting his nonsense. And I'm like, thank you. That is exactly why Sincere keeps choosing you. But my question is, when, Melanie, are you going to choose yourself? When, Melanie, are you going to choose yourself? Because you already have a fan base, you already have followers, there is nothing else for you to prove on this show. You know what I'm saying? Either you could wait it out and see if they bring in a last set of bombshells. They typically do. You know what I'm saying? Right before, leading up to that last week, at this next dumping, they usually bring in bombshells and everything else to see if something's going to shake or not. And then we go into the last week with our, we start trimming down, the couples so we can get to our final 4. So then as well, she's tired of hearing that Sincere keeps choosing her, that Melanie is the prize, that she keeps, winning Sincere, that they came back for each other after Casa because Melanie said that she looks a fool to America. But here's the thing, Melanie, you also look a fool to yourself. You know what I'm saying? like not just us watching you, but you look a fool to yourself because you keep taking him back. But again, the men at Casa kept warning you. The men at Casa keep telling you this, right? And so then Melanie stood up, and she's pissed off. She said, I look like an idiot. You know what I'm saying? I don't F with this. She keeps asking Sincere, when are you going to fix it? And I found it interesting. Once again, none of the men are really saying nothing. But when it was KC, y'all all had y'all mouths out with something to say. Y'all all was trying to defend yourself and make it seem like y'all didn't know it was this bad with KC and all of this and all of that. But suddenly, everyone was on the mute challenge when Sincere is on the Jumbotron. And we need to unpack that. We need to understand why Sincere never gets really the smoke. What is really going on in that villa that Sincere can be such a villain and can be on such demon time with these ladies and tell all of these ladies the same thing over and over and over and not get the smoke? I'm very confused. And so then Melanie leaves, and then Anaya goes after her, and then Ian says that movie night is a wrap. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, where's the rest of the clips? What happened to the rest of the clips? Why are certain people being protected? So you don't want to expose Bryce and Zack Attack because those are your sure finalists, correct? Is that what we're doing? Zack Attack and Bryce are your sure finalists, and you got to make sure that there's nothing on them. There's no RICO cases on them. But you make sure Sincere and KC and Corbin are going to get the brunt of these clips. I peeped the game production, but my thing is, everybody needs to be exposed. Blow the whole villa up. Don't partially blow it up. Don't do the minimalist stuff to where Kate is going to take back Zack Attack, where Bryce and Trinity are going to be unaffected. Like Miss Me with the BS. So Melanie, she's crying, she's breaking down, she's going all up and through this villa, she's going to the dressing room, she's going to the hallway, she's going everywhere. She's like, I don't want to be here, I never want to subject myself to this. Anaya says Sincere looks stupid, that he bamboozled everyone. Anaya is telling Melanie that she didn't know what was going on. However, Melanie was getting a lot of warnings though. She was getting a lot of warnings that Sincere was not on the up and up. And Melanie said that she is hurt. She doesn't know if her connection is real or genuine intentions. And ultimately, my girl Anaya, I don't feel her advice. I love me some Anaya, but I feel like you needed to be 10 toes down on the fact that Sincere was just flat out wrong. What we don't need to address right now, you know what I'm saying? What's genuine, what's not genuine? If this was just all purely out of lust or not. No. Melanie wasn't trying to hear that. So then she went to the speakeasy to cry and everything else. And then eventually Melanie decided to, we didn't really see her for the rest of the night till it was like around bedtime, right? So then Anaya walked over to the guys and she went to KC in front of all the guys. She didn't pull them for a chat or nothing, but she wanted everyone to hear so that y'all can stop the false narratives that Anaya is ABUSIVE, that she is an angry black woman, you know what I'm saying? That she's trying to, get a knuck if you buck situation up in the villa after 25 episodes where she's been nothing but a sweetheart this entire time and had a reaction after after seeing the guy that she fell for after 3 weeks talking all this crazy nonsense behind her back. And she realized she was the biggest fool. So ultimately, she tells KC, I am sorry. I am sorry for standing up in your face, KC. That was disrespectful. And that was out of character for me. And so then ultimately, KC said that he was sorry as well. He was sorry for standing up in your face and everything else, that he shouldn't have did that. And then after that, Anaya walks away. And all the men are like, oh my gosh, that was so respectful of Anaya. That was everything. That was so mature of Anaya. Really? It's crazy. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking too, this is still a game. There's a game to be played inside the villa, that you have to have support in that villa. And there's also a game that we have on the control over the votes. So ultimately, if there's anything that they want to do on this show, like least compatible couples or most compatible couples, they could have put Anaya and Carl right there at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? And they would have did that to protect Casey. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, I like the fact that Anaya immediately, when there's an issue, whenever there's conflict, she immediately goes to the source. She has problems with Casey, went to the source. Now, this had nothing to do with the disrespectful things that Casey said on the video. This was just solely about the fact that Anaya stood up and got in Casey's face back and all of this and all of that. But I feel like that was more of, listen, I know ultimately we have eliminations. We have situations where we choose who we want to keep, who we don't want to keep. And y'all are first to throw the black people out. Y'all are first to throw the black women under the bus. And Anaya knows that those men like to talk crap about her behind her back and egg Casey on. So she had to make it clear in front of all of them so nobody can twist anything around on her. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Whether people feel that Anaya should apologize or not, it is still a game. It is still a popularity contest. So then as well, ultimately, Anaya went back to the girls. She told the girls that she apologized to Casey. I don't think Kata and Trinity felt that. I don't think they were feeling it. You know what I'm saying? They hate Casey Dean. And, you know, ultimately, TT says that she wants to, you know, she was trying to put herself in Anaya's shoes. She wanted to apologize if she ever came off aggressive. She was specifically talking to Trinity and Anaya and stood up and gave both Trinity and Anaya hugs. So I think TT realized, you know what I'm saying? And then she wanted to, and then she says to Anaya, yeah, not all of the things that Casey said about you were bad. But here's my problem, TT. You've been in this villa, what, 3 days? And you didn't think in your one-on-one conversation with Anaya to just tell her the truth? Like, this is my issue. So old school Love Island, whether it's Love Island USA or Love Island UK, the moment those Casa girls got back to the villa, that they're pulling the OG girls immediately to let them know what their men was saying about them. And I found it so odd that these Casa girls, that Persian Cat and Tay wanted to cover for Zack Attack, they wanted to cover for KC and all this and all that, and it was very weird to me. Y'all are not touching the 100K. So what was there to protect? You know that you saw for 3 weeks how Anaya was feeling that something wasn't right. You saw how people were plotting on the demise of Casey and Anaya, especially once they found out they were one of the favorite couples. And you saw how KC switched up towards week 3 of their connection, where he started pulling back and started talking crazy about Anaya behind her back. And you didn't think any of that was pertinent information to tell Anaya in your one-on-one. No. But you only want to say something now that KC is exposed on the Jumbotron. I just cannot. So then, you know what I'm saying? That just pissed me off. You know what I'm saying? That really pissed me off. So Casey is in a confessional saying that he's going to take full accountability for what he said. It's not right to hurt somebody else's feelings in the process, and the more mature, is way to go about it. And so I was thinking to myself, I said, Casey, just say it to Anaya's face. Don't tell us in the confessional, just tell it to Anaya's face, right? And so then Caleb says that he wished that, this didn't happen with Kenzie. Dylan still is down bad for Kenzie. Because she put, you know what I'm saying? She put that whop on him. You know what I'm saying? So he's still bad. You know what I'm saying? But he said that he knows that he likes her. But then Dylan was like, I also know that she likes you, Corbin. I also know that she likes you, Caleb. I also know that, she likes you, Gal. I know she likes all y'all up and through here. And Jen, I'm going to say it again. You shouldn't have brought Gal back into the villa. Anaya tells Kenzie, listen, your trailer, it looked bad, sis. It looked very bad. You misled Caleb and all this and all that. Kenzie said she feels bad. Kata feels that Zach left out a lot of things. Kata and Zach Attack have a talk. And this is my problem, y'all. Y'all hold Melanie and Anaya to a standard you do not hold Kata to. Because what happened, right? Zach is like, oh, it was irrelevant, the fact that the Casa girl left night too. You know what I'm saying? And they basically said that there's going to be kisses and more cuddles. Because the men were all trying to plot how many of them needed to sleep in soul ties. And I was about to tell y'all, none of y'all. Because the women were not going to stand on business when it was all said and done. You know what I'm saying? Zack Attack should have been in soul tie sleeping. Sincere should have been in soul tie sleeping, and everything else, right? Corbin and KC, they brought back different people. They were not back in their original couple, so that was not going to happen. But ultimately, they told Sincere, they're like, well, if Melanie sleeps in soul ties, you can have the bed. But Sincere should have taken the initiative. You know what? Let me sleep out in soul ties with the bugs and the bees and the back pain. You know what I'm saying? So you could have a comfortable bed to yourself. But these men, you know what I'm saying? They all rally for each other, and it's crazy to me because we've seen other seasons where the men held each other accountable. And it feels like this group of men, they want to protect each other, they want to uplift each other, and they move around and try to navigate reactionary to whatever the girls say and do instead of being proactive when they're in the wrong. So my thing is, Zach said that, he downplayed how much he was exploring, how much stuff he was doing. And Kate is like, well, why did you lie? You know what I'm saying? And Zach Attack was like, well, I shouldn't have just kissed multiple times and da-da-da-da-da. But then I was mad all over again because I was like, where is the Bryce in the Zack Attack scheming videos? Where is Zack Attack's comments about, questioning Trinity and her interest in Bryce and how he has more fun without Trinity around? Like where was all of that when y'all hype up this Zack Attack and Bryce bromance the whole season? So ultimately, you know what I'm saying? Carl and Anaya have a chat. So for those of y'all, you know what I'm saying, who y'all think y'all are experts, that we're doing all that tweeting, we're doing all that social media stuff. Oh, Carl's going to have the ick about Anaya. Carl's going to be turned off about Anaya, getting up at KC's face. Carl's going to feel away about Anaya, da-da-da-da-da. Carl's going to explore Amora. You know what I'm saying? This was too much. That the black woman did too much in the episode prior, da-da-da-da-da. Well, here's what happened in the conversation. Anaya's like, you know what I'm saying? She felt a certain way, felt crazy out here. And ultimately, she feels like she put her heart out here. It bit her in the ASS and all of this and all of that. And Carl basically was understanding. Carl was understanding, was giving Anaya a hug. She had her legs up on him again and basically said, listen, you know what I'm saying? You thought that was going to be the right move. Picking KC, that was going to be the right decision. It didn't work out, but guess what? I'm here. Guess what? I am here. America voted me back. FKC. You know what I'm saying? FKC, we're taking this to the end. Let's go. Like that was my takeaway of the conversation, right? So then KC is talking to TT. And he is down. I don't care what any of y'all say. You know what I'm saying? This is the same demeanor Casey had before he left for Casa Amor, whenever things were on bad terms with him and Anaya. He would be on a full-on depression if Anaya ignores him. And even though he's back with Tay, where him and Corbin were talking all that nonsense that Tay and Persian Cat were going to run the villa, Anaya still affects Casey's mood. And I made note of that if you are so happy with Tay, I thought you didn't give an F about no Anaya. But it's clear to me you care about Anaya's acceptance and Anaya's approval. That's what it sounds like to me. And low-key, you still might be feeling Anaya, if we want to keep it a buck. And the only reason you're not going there is because you know Anaya is not going to take you back. You know Anaya is no Melanie or no Kada. So basically, Casey tells Tay that was very bad. You know what I'm saying? He said that he's grateful to have Tay, that she's helped him so much. I find it interesting. With Tay, Casey's not doing none of this. You're the blueprint. You're a beautiful black woman. You know what I'm saying? He's not doing all this nonsense. And I feel like, Casey, if Anaya was really pressing you, or if Carl wasn't there and they wanted to resurrect some type of triangle, I feel like you were going to try to play a Cordell type of game, coming back from Casa, and try to prop up Tay to make Anaya jealous, try to prop up a fight between Anaya and Tay over you. But that didn't happen, and Carl came back. And that blew up your spot, Casey. So you have no choice but to lean into Tay. But my thing is, you look miserable. You've looked absolutely miserable, just like you looked miserable before Casa when you and Anaya were not on good terms. So I just took a mental note of that, right? So ultimately, it is bedtime. Dylan says that he wants to sleep, but ultimately, if Kenzie puts the whop on him, he's going to fold. So ultimately, Anaya is saying in the dressing room in front of all the girls, including Tay, that Carl gives her so much comfort that Casey does not give her. And that Casey immediately always wants to get into defense mode to defend himself. And she's like, listen, just sit your ASS down. You know what I'm saying? And just take accountability. And then the camera pans to Tay. But because I didn't say Tay pipe up then. I didn't say Tay pipe up and respond. What happened to all the smoke? What happened to all of the smoke? So Corbin feels like he's exonerated. He feels like he owned up to everything. We have Melanie. At first, she's like curled up into a ball. You know what I'm saying? Outside of the speakeasy. Then she tries to go up to sleep to soul ties, and there is an owl up there. And Melanie's like, oh, I guess we got company. So then she moves down to the large couches, and she takes her pillows and her comforters there. Sincere gets to sleep in the bed. You know what I'm saying? No accountability. These men are celebrating, and they're all like, you know, maybe I'll just sleep on Melanie's side, and I just got to fix it. And here comes Zack Attack. You know what I'm saying? They're up here trying to talk about doing a big comeback for Melanie. And it's given Johnny 2.0. It is giving Johnny and Selly 2.0 from Love Island USA Season 2, right? And so really nobody after a night like that was doing anything in the bed. Except for Zack Attack and Kada and Dylan and Kenzie. Dylan and Kenzie, y'all. Those were the two that were doing stuff. And then Ian makes a comment, oh, the owls left the building, right? So then the next morning, Anaya is looking frantically for Melanie. She thought that Melanie slept in Soul Ties, didn't find her. She went to go look for Melanie in the speakeasy, couldn't find her. Then she finally found her, and Anaya was like, listen, girl, I'm freaking out. I am freaking out. I thought they took you in the night. You know what I'm saying? I thought they picked you up and packed you up like a thief in the night, because where were you? So I thought that was cute. Like, I love the friendship of Melanie and Anaya, although sometimes I feel their advice they give each other is just bad SHIT crazy. So anyways, Melanie basically feels as though, you know, you played in my face with Soul. You go to Casa Amor and you play in my face again with Amora. Like, how much more is this going to be? How much more can we take, right? Then we see the girls going upstairs. It's Anaya, Trinity, and Melanie, right? And basically, Trinity and Melanie is like, I don't feel bad for no Casey. I don't give an F about no Casey. All of this and all of that, right? So Sincere makes Melanie breakfast, and Melanie's like, appreciate you, grateful for you, everything else, right? And so then Corbin, Casey, and Caleb have a chat, you guys. Casey basically says, listen, look at here. I really didn't want to get up. I really didn't want to talk or do anything. Corbin said yesterday was draining. Casey said he eventually wants to talk to Anaya because Casey basically said, listen, the BS I said was disrespectful. So those of you KC defenders who keep saying, oh, what was the disrespect? What was the disrespect that KC did, right? Casey is acknowledging again, he was disrespectful. And Casey also acknowledges, for those of y'all that were like, what about Anaya's clips? What about what Anaya said about Casey? Here goes Casey. Anaya's clips that I saw, she was respectful about me. She didn't talk disrespectful about me. So then Caleb says, him and Jaden have hit a wall. Him and Jaden have hit a wall. Their relationship, their situationship has plateaued. She never gives him compliments. She never does anything for him. He always has to initiate everything, and then she'll just repeat whatever he says back to her. So he's not feeling good. And I found it interesting that Caleb is not pulling Amora for chats or pulling Jen for chats or pulling something for a chat. So you just think you're just going to coast to the finals. It's given you're about to be up on out of this villa. You know what I'm saying? And so ultimately, I'm thinking to myself, I thought Amora liked Caleb. Why is she having useless conversations with Gal when you need to be up on pursuing something with Caleb? Or Caleb, you need to pull Jen for chats, pull Amora for chats, pull somebody for chats. If nothing is progressing with you and Jaden, but that's how it goes with some of these Casa people like Gal, like Jaden. They just want to get into the villa. They just want to get into the villa, get a little bit of screen time, get a little bit of followers, and be up on out here to say, listen, I was on Love Island. And y'all fell for it. Y'all fell for it. So Corbin said he doesn't like any drama. Kata and Kenzie have a conversation, and she was like, listen, your Rico case, you were looking like Sincere out here. You know what I'm saying? It was not a good look and everything else. So then there's a conversation with Anaya and Sincere because, you know, they're apparently allegedly villa besties. And Anaya basically told Sincere, like I'm not going to hold you. You're my dog, everything else. But I'm very disappointed in you for a multitude of reasons. I am so disappointed in you. So here goes Sincere. I'm disappointed too. He's like, I value our friendship. He was like, I was not defending you in the rooms that you were not in when your name was being called. And, you know, Anaya's like, I just feel like you played in everybody's face in this villa. And, you know, and then here goes Sincere. I don't know what to do to fix it with Melanie. You know what I'm saying? And Melanie's, and Anaya's like, well, listen, Melanie's basically on her last straw. Like she's tired of this foolishness. So then I found it interesting how immediately the men went in damage control for Sincere to convince Melanie of Sincere's nonsense with like Bryce and Zach, all these people, you know what I'm saying? And it was just interesting because I thought that they were going to actually to comfort Melanie. And then I realized Bryce really just wanted to talk to Melanie to reinsure Sincere's foolishness. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, Sincere saying how he doesn't deserve Melanie to Anaya. Anaya was like, you look dumb as F-U-C-K. Bryce, you know what I'm saying, is talking to Melanie, saying he doesn't like to see his best friends get hurt, and that, you know, that feelings are valid, you know, how Melanie feels, take as much time as you need, you know what I'm saying, and that, you know, this was stupid, and they both agree that it's stupid, and then they're talking about the optics. No. I was like, at first I thought Bryce was talking to Melanie, like F Sincere, don't be on that with Sincere, wait for a bombshell to come in, talk to Caleb, you know what I'm saying, things aren't going well with him and Jaden, you know what I'm saying, like let's explore the options for real. And it was all roads lead back to, you know what I'm saying, take as much time as you need, but take Sincere back. No. So ultimately, Melanie said she feels like the meme You know the girl, oh, I forget what TV show it was. I think it was from the 90s, where she's doing the addition, she's doing the math problem. And I think it was like 4 plus 4. It was like a log addition math problem. And I think it was supposed to be like 4 plus 4 is 8. And she put 1 6. It was something like that. Y'all know what I'm talking about in the comments. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? But basically, she feels like that type of level of an idiot, right? Then we get this waste of conversation with Corbin and Persian Cat, and it's giving production wants Corbin to stick around till the finals with Persian Cat, and I want them gone. I want them gone. They're talking about their family upbringings, whether or not they're family oriented. Persian Cat is asking, does his dad still do nice stuff for his mom? And he said basically, you know what I'm saying? He did that stuff in the beginning, but he doesn't have to do that now. He doesn't have to get her flowers. He has to do. And I'm like, we were talking to the ultimate F-boy who lives in Miami. Like, what are you expecting, Persian Cat? I don't understand, right? So then ultimately we get ready for the evening and the girls are in the dressing room and Kenzie's like, you know what? I'm just sick of all the drama. I just want everybody to be happy and go lucky and everything else. And Anaya was like, "Witch, you are the drama." And Melanie co-signed, "I fear," which is something that Anaya always says in the villa, right? And so then Anaya says as well, she doesn't want Casey around here moping because he used to do that when every time he has a problem with Anaya, he mopes around the villa. And my thing is, y'all cheering on Casey and Tay-Tay's connection, but why is it that, you know what I'm saying, Anaya has him affected this way? Nobody else in the villa, even if they cussed Casey out or whatever else, or shun Casey or whatever else, only Anaya. If Anaya has an issue with Casey, if Anaya is pissed at Casey, Casey is on a full-on depression. Why? Y'all know the answer. Why? How is it that he's been in a couple with Tay-Tay and they were supposed to run the villa and Casey was supposed to have all this aura and he's not happy with Tay-Tay? He is more concerned about Anaya hating his guts and being mad at him. You know what I'm saying? So I found that interesting. So she says she doesn't want him moping. She hates, you know what I'm saying, what Casey had to say, but she is glad that Casey saw it in 4K of how crazy he was talking. So then Casey is in the bathroom with Corbin and Carl. And then once again, this is the second time today, he is saying, I got to have a conversation with Anaya. I got to take full accountability and responsibility. Anaya needs to hear the why. I was saying what I was saying. I was doing what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So once again, to the KC defenders, Casey is saying, I need to have a real conversation with Anaya. I need to own up my SHIT. For those of you who keep saying, Casey did nothing wrong, everyone's overreacting, da-da-da-da-da. Here is Casey multiple times saying I was in the wrong. And then it was almost as if, too, he was also trying to let Carl know. Because then at one point, there was a shot of him sitting next to Carl. And Carl did the, He pulled an Anaya. I was like, man, Anaya has already rubbed off of him. Because I don't know if y'all remember the fire pit conversation with Casey and Anaya the other day, where Anaya was just like, like she wasn't believing half of what was coming out of Casey's mouth. I was like, Carl pulled the, He pulled him, and I was like, Anaya's rubbing off on you. Anaya is rubbing off on you because Anaya did the same thing. So I believe it was Kata that was asking how everybody was feeling, you know what I'm saying? And all of this and all of that. And then they shot back to KC. And now it is Corbin that's in the room. It is Bryce in the room. It is in the Sincere. And here goes Bryce. I think it's fixable with Anaya. You know what I'm saying? And Sincere is like, I think it's salvageable with Anaya. And it's interesting that these men want Casey and Anaya to be good so bad. Want them to be on good terms so bad, but y'all had no problem instigating and egging on Casey partaking in madness, whether it was potentially with Saul or over at Casa Amor. But I think y'all know deep down, you know what it was and how bad this is a bad look for Casey. And y'all are also trying to absolve yourselves because y'all were being messy too. Oh, Casey's never been this happy. You know what I'm saying? And I don't understand that comment, because if Casey is so happy, why is he so concerned about what Anaya thinks of him? I would feel a certain type of way if I'm TT. Because if the men are saying that he's the happiest when he's with me, but anything with Anaya has on him full-on depression, I would be questioning that. Like, am I chopped liver? You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, we see the girls come down to greet the men, and Carl, you know what I'm saying, he is head over for Anaya. Anaya's like, you look handsome. And he was like, you know, you look great, babe, and pulls her in for a kiss. And I was like, whoa. And Anaya, I'm not going to hold y'all. Ever since Megan Thee Stallion came in to lift Anaya up and hype her up and tell her she's a bad witch with a B, you know what I'm saying? Anaya has been having on these freakum outfits. She had on the freakum catsuit the other day, you know what I'm saying, that I feel like Carl and Casey, you know what I'm saying? And today with the little romper, the little white romper with the jewelry, you know what I'm saying? Just giving bad witch with the B energy. You know what I'm saying? She knew what she was doing. I'm here for, you know what I'm saying, my time with Carl. But Casey, you're going to see what you're missing too. I see the play. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not mad at it, right? So then we got Zach walking around with, you know, about to do a toast. And then Carl and Anaya enter. And now Carl's got his chest puffed out like he's Superman. So Zack Attack of all people is giving a toast, and I don't understand why Bryce couldn't give a toast or somebody else couldn't give a toast. But Zack Attack, who got away with red rum at movie night, is giving a toast saying, I hope everybody is okay, and I want everybody to make up and make love. No. So then we get a conversation with Kenzie and Dylan and Soul Ties, and I'm not going to hold you. I don't think Kenzie likes Dylan. I think she got the ick when Dylan had that whole on crash out, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, Kenzie does not have any other options, you know what I'm saying? So she has to ride this out with Dylan. I do not believe that she wants to be a one-woman man or any of this other foolishness, because I want her to keep the same energy if any more male bombshells come into this villa. I want her to keep the same energy. She's all trying to claim now she doesn't want to do the runaround with multiple men, but you're only saying that now because you got exposed, because you were on the Jumbotron. So ultimately, she doesn't want to make Dylan upset anymore. She just wants to make him happy. And Dylan's all like, I'm so grateful for your words. I'm so appreciative of your words. Dylan, I just cannot, right? Then I want to, before I get to the Casey and Anaya chat, I want to get to the disturbing chat of Sincere and Melanie, because I feel like this is setting up for ultimately them to reconcile. I don't believe they're going to bring any bombshells for Melanie. I don't believe Melanie is going to try to pull Caleb for a chat or anything like that, or any of these other men, or Dylan or somebody. I feel ultimately she's stuck on Sincere, and I wish she would have did what I don't know if y'all watched the UK season, but there was this girl Liberty on season 7 of the UK. Sorry, spoiler alert, but basically she had a dude that played in her face. She thought that they had a good connection, but basically he played in her face and was talking crap about her behind her back, and it got exposed. And so what she decided to do was, on their final date, they were supposed to go, I think, on their final date or whatever else. So she decided, listen, look at here. I choose myself. I'm going to end this journey. We don't even have to be in the finale. You know what I'm saying? Because enough is enough with this disrespect. I need to choose myself. And I wish Melanie, with all that stuff that she was talking, she would choose herself. So while they are talking, you guys, why is it Bryce and Trinity and Kata and Zack Attack that they're over there at the kitchen trying to watch and see what the tea is? And I'm like, do y'all really like Melanie? Because y'all be talking about Anaya's comments, but I don't feel like these other girls actually like Melody. They just want to see what the tea is. So ultimately, Sincere pulls Melanie to have them have a chat over by the sand, and Melanie's like, I really don't want to get my shoes dirty, and she's like, I guess I gotta take them off. And I'm just like, what is going on? And so then Kate is gonna make the comment, fool me once, shame on me, and ultimately fool me twice. You know what I'm saying? All this, all that. And here's the thing, Kata, you're sticking around for Zack Attack's nonsense. So how dare you? How do you have the audacity to talk about shame on me, shame on this, shame on that? But you took Zack back quick, fast, in a hurry. I just cannot, right? So ultimately, you know, Melanie is telling Sincere that she felt that she had to, you know, please Corey. Sincere's talk about how he was a people pleaser. Mel feels that Sincere overdid his stuff. Sincere feels that he knows that he doesn't deserve anything. For some reason, Carl and Gal are having a conversation at the fire pit, talking about whether or not Melanie and Sincere can hash things out, and I am just of confusion. I thought Dylan was your bestie. Carl, do you know that Gal is full of SHIT? Do you know he is full of SHIT? But maybe it's like a Casa alliance of it all. I don't know. So basically, Mel says to Sincere that you should feel disgusted with how you're doing. You should grow the F up. You should make better decisions. Mel says that she does not F with how Sincere was moving in this villa at all. It was so effed up that she spent her whole summer just crying over this dude and everything else, that she's been patient with Sincere, and Sincere keeps playing in her face, and that she should be disgusted. And Sincere's like, I do feel disgusted. And she's like, you should be sad. And Sincere's like, I do feel sad. And ultimately, you don't even deserve a connection. You made your bed, you should lay in it. And then we get a confessional scene of Melanie crying, and she says she wishes she knew what she should do next. You know what I'm saying? That she feels good when she is with him. However, behind her back, he makes her look like a fool. And I'm like, Melanie, I can't do this. Is this what we're doing? Is this what we are doing? We saw how this played out with Sally and Johnny, season 2. They became runner-ups of the show. We saw the madness of Aaron and Kaylor, season 6. They ended up not making the finale after all of the crying Kaylor was doing over him. Are y'all really going to send Melanie and Sincere to the finale, you guys? All because y'all are Melanie's fans, even though it's clear as day she is absolutely miserable with this dude. She did not want to bring back Corey. And like I said, normally they bring in a last set of bombshells after the next dumping. We'll see whether or not that happens, but I don't trust it. So Sincere basically says sorry isn't enough. Zack Attack is basically like they need to put up or shut up. They need to figure out if they're going to move on or if they're going to split. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, really, production? You just didn't want to include anything on Zack Attack and how he talks about all these other couples and gets away with his nonsense and his couple. Like, is this what we're doing? Is this what we are doing? Right? And so before we get to what happened at the end of the episode, I want to circle back to the Anaya and KC conversation of it all, because it was interesting. All of the Islanders, most of the Islanders were sitting around, you know what I'm saying, where they have their toast at. And so Anaya was sitting next to Carl. She had her leg over by Carl. I don't know what Tay and Casey were doing, but Casey was kind of standing catty corner behind Anaya. And I don't know if she was like, if TT was trying to fix Casey up or what was happening. But basically, Casey was like, Anaya. And I don't think Anaya heard him. Casey was like, Anaya. Then he had to tap Anaya on the back. And it was like, can I pull you for a chat? And I was like, for real? And so then she had the baby face on with Carl, and I was like, oh, she's her and Carl are a lot more locked in than what production is showing us. Production is hiding the footage of Carl and Anaya, and I think it is BS. But ultimately, there was a baby voice to Carl. I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you later. And Carl was like, I'll talk to you later. And here goes KC. Carl, she'll be back. No. What? And it's the same foolishness that he did after the chat the other day with Anaya after the fire pit conversation. Now go pull Carl. And Anaya was like, don't tell me what to do. So tonight, Anaya was being petty, and I thought it was funny. Anaya was like to KC as they were walking towards where they were going to have their conversation. She was like, Grandmama is coming. And Casey was like, stop, girl. And then he lets out a sigh. I don't think Casey liked that, but you called her a grandma. You called her a grandma. Does she look like a grandma in that outfit, Casey? Does she look like a grandma in that white romper? You know what I'm saying, with the jewelry? She doesn't look like a grandma in that. I don't know what we're talking about. So then Tay Tay is kind of like in a monotone, and she's like, yeah, he pulled Anaya for a chat. And so then Corbin and Persian Cat are like, that's mature. That's a good thing. That's what's needed. They have to have a conversation. I think Tay Tay knows deep down that Casey still likes Anaya, or still feels a certain way about Anaya. And I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Ultimately, the only reason it's not a threat is because Anaya does not want KC anymore. But if Anaya wanted KC, I think it would be a whole different type of situation. So this time around, Casey didn't pull what he pulled the other night. You talk first. No, I'm going to talk first. You know what I'm saying? You say what you got to say first. No, I feel you should say what you have to say. I feel you should get everything off your chest. No, you talk first, right? It wasn't any of that. This time, Casey pulled Anaya for a chat, and Casey said what he needed to say. Said, listen, I said a lot of BS in there on those clips. I am embarrassed by the SHIT I said in those clips. I curled up into a ball at what I was saying in those clips. I cringed at most of what I was saying. And I found that interesting. So what didn't you cringe about, Casey? But ultimately, he cringed at most of what he was saying. Casey said that he was holding in a lot because he did not want to keep arguing with Anaya. And, in due time, ultimately everything blew up in smoke. Casey then said that he was just saying SHIT, and he was building up resentment against Anaya that Anaya was unaware of. And ultimately, Casey says that his feelings for Anaya were not fake, that he never wanted Anaya to feel like a safe option. Also said that he does not want Anaya to feel like he was ever lying to her. He wants Anaya to know that they had a really good, they had a lot of bright moments together. Anaya agrees that they had some bright moments together, but they also both agreed that they had some BS. Casey was like, yeah, but we had some BS too. And Anaya was like, I know we had some BS, but he said that he reiterated, we really had some bright moments. And I'm like, where are we going with this, Casey? Where are we going with this? And so he said, although we had some BS, it wasn't towards the end. It really wasn't you know what I'm saying? It really was towards the end of Sincere and Soul breaking things off. Let's just call it for what it was. It was towards the end of Soul and Sincere breaking things off. It was towards the end where it was the latest time, you know what I'm saying? Zack Attack and Bryce used y'all in the challenges, you know what I'm saying? To instigate a little 1-2. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, y'all were Gucci till then. Y'all had a ticket to the finals. Y'all had the black vote. Y'all were in the running for the 100K, Casey. And I wonder if somebody's going to let Casey know that when he gets up out of this villa. So ultimately, he says, dearly in his heart of hearts, he feels those feelings for Anaya. He says, Anaya, you could still hate his guts. You could still be mad at him. And then I noticed Casey started rubbing on his knees. And I have not seen Casey like this in this type of demeanor really the entire time that he's been on the show. And I was trying to figure out in my head, I was like, is Casey doing this because it got exposed on the Jumbotron of how crazy he was talking about Anaya? Would we have really have gotten this had a movie night never happened? Had this movie night never would have happened, I feel like Casey would still be in this level of depression that Anaya doesn't like him, that Anaya's not featuring him. And so, ultimately, he was telling Anaya, you can feel how you want to feel, and that Casey understands. Casey says that, I am sorry. Anaya says, I forgive you. Anaya says, I do want you to know, I really do care about you. It was difficult to see the things that you said about me behind my back, and it was very bad. And she was like, but listen, you said you were sorry. Casey said it was holding up a mirror to himself. Anaya said, I respect your apology. I'm so over the arguing. Casey said he's over it too. Anaya says she genuinely wants Casey to be happy. I don't know if I believe that, but and she said, I want you to know you deserve to be happy. Casey is laughing and shaking his head. I don't know if Casey's like, I'm happy you're with Carl. I don't believe him. I don't believe him. And he says that that's a great thing for you. And I feel like y'all compliment each other. I'm not buying this part of the conversation. Low-key, I feel like the problem is there's too much damage that has been done. But I'm not going to hold y'all. They did have something, you guys. Casey and Anaya did have something. I was a former Kanaya stan. I just didn't feel that they had good communication. But when they were on good terms, they were good. But when there was problems, they did not have good conflict resolution approaches with each other. However, ultimately, you know what I'm saying? Anaya, it was funny. She was fumbling over the words to say, just treat TT right. As if she didn't believe it herself. Anaya. And so Casey was like, no, I will, bro. I will treat TT right. And so Anaya's like, are we good? And Casey's like, we're good, bro. So this time they hug it out. And Casey is cheesing. And I'm like, Casey, you fumbled this. Casey, you fumbled this because here's the thing. You could have brought back TT and still saw whether your feelings for TT were stronger than what you had with Anaya. But the way that you wrote her off at that Casa recoupling, as if Anaya was getting dumped from the villa that night. Oh, you come from a good family. I don't give an F-U-C-K. With TT, it is effortless. All of this, all of that. I'm still pissed off about what happened night one, not being picked behind the door. Like all of that extra stuff that you just closed the door with Anaya. You humiliated Anaya, you know what I'm saying? And you did so much damage. And so ultimately, Casey says that he's happy that him and Anaya are good. He's happy that they could move forward, all of this and all of that. And it's interesting to me how much Casey values Anaya's approval, Anaya's acceptance, Anaya's liking him. I kept making note of that, you know what I'm saying, really in this episode. I really made note of that and the comparisons of how they were towards the end of their coupling. And it kind of reminded me, he said as well that, you know, Anaya said that she, you know, said as well that she wants him to know that he cares about him. They care about each other. It was a lot. It was very interesting to see. And I think also as well, I was trying to think if there was anything else that he said in that confessional, right? That was it. But I had made a note that it reminded me after their mailbox recoupling when Anaya was like, still we rise. And Casey was back, you know what I'm saying, happy that they reconciled. And this kind of felt like a flashback to that. And so then it was interesting. All the Casa people and Bryce was like trying to figure out, okay, this is the first time I've seen Casey smile in 3 days. But y'all were gassing him up at Casa Amor that Casey never smiled like this or happy like this when he was with Anaya. But now all of a sudden, if Anaya's mad at him, he can go into a full-on depressive state for 3 days. And Corbin's like, you know, you got everything off your chest. Bryce is patting him on the back. Is everything better? Casey's like, yeah. TT's like, how did the chat go? Everybody's trying to be all in Casey's mix. And Casey's like, listen, y'all doing too much. It is too much. And I feel like Trinity, she's not liking this. Trinity still hates Casey's guts. Trinity did not say not one word and was given the evil eye. You know what I'm saying? When all of this was going down, right? And while this is happening, Anaya is across the way back reunited with Carl. You know what I'm saying? And back in Carl's face, right? But it was interesting to me how much Casey values whether or not Anaya likes him or doesn't like him. And he cannot smile. He cannot be in a good mood if Anaya wants nothing to do with him. So, nonetheless, for the next episode, we still did not get no DAMN recoupling. But apparently, according to the preview for tomorrow night, for Friday's episode, we are going to get a recoupling. And we are going to get somebody who is dumped from the villa. So, I think either Jen or Jaden or Amora are on the chopping block. I don't think Kenzie is, but we will see. And then Ariana Maddox comes in. And she's like, listen, look at here. We're going to have a dumping of, whatever girl does not get chosen. You're immediately dumped from the villa. But Islanders, I need you to vote on who you think the two couples are for least compatible. And I was like, oh, Anaya. You know what I'm saying? If Anaya did not do that apology, you know what I'm saying? Her and Carl could have been put back at the least compatible, but it would have been stupid because America just voted back in Carl. But if they're going to do least compatible couples, I would feel Gal and Jen or Gal and Amora if Gal chooses Amora tomorrow at the recoupling because they just got together. And I feel also they would choose Caleb and Jaden because everybody knows that Caleb and Jaden are not progressing. And I feel this is lame, right? I feel this is lame because I feel like what production is trying to do, you're trying to still milk this Casey and Anaya stuff. You know what I'm saying? I feel like production is still trying to milk Casey and Anaya for all of it is worth because America has said that the next two people to get up on out of this villa is, you know what I'm saying? They want Zack Attack gone. They want Casey and TT gone. They want Corbin and Persian Cat gone. But if you're leaving it up to the Islanders are going to protect their friends. And they're going to do the newest couples, but they're not going to do this to Anaya and Carl because America just voted back in Carl. And they know America likes Carl. So it would be a waste of time to try to put him and Anaya at least compatible because the voters would vote for them over anybody else that's at the bottom two with them. So they're probably going to do, you know what I'm saying, the Casa people, which would be Jaden and with Caleb and also Gal and whoever he's with. I feel like would be the easiest ones because they know that the Islanders are not going to put Mel and Sincere at the bottom, which I feel is a joke and a slap in the face to America. So, nonetheless, you guys, that is it for this video. Do me the biggest favor, and that is to hype the video. Hype the video, please. Hype the video like you've never hyped a video before in your life. There is that. That is it. That is all. It's Total Sus Final. It's finito. It's the end of the road. It's the end line for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.